I'm your host, Annie Bowles, and this is News du Jour. Hey everyone, welcome back to the News du Jour, a calmer space to consume the news. So today we have a packed episode. We had a packed episode yesterday, 15 full minutes for you guys. And I think today will be about similar in the end. We'll see. But we have a mini story here to start off with. So let's get into it. So for our mini story today, I just wanted to let you guys know that inflation has stopped more sharply as of November than experts were really predicting. So this is great news for our wallets. It's very rare that inflation would actually ever reverse, and that's definitely not what's happening now, but things are definitely cooling off, and that's what's best for this crazy economy right now. And for our first longer story today, Mark Cuban to the rescue. Okay, so business titan Mark Cuban, you may know him from Shark Tank or as the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. He is setting his sights on disrupting the pharmaceutical industry. Cruel, immoral, unethical, maybe just some of the words that come to mind when we, as Americans, remember that pharmaceutical companies absolutely gouge sick people at the register. Without many options, many Americans find themselves spending the majority of their paycheck on medicines that they need. But what's sickening in a metaphorical sense is that drug companies are making enormous profit margins on these drugs just because they can. Now, there is an argument to be made that a lot of drug companies have to stock away funds for research because they can't always get government funding for their research or protect their work with patents, etc. But this doesn't account for a lot of the other fees tacked on along the way and the absolutely ridiculous profit margins. Let's dive into some of the details here so you guys can get a better sense of what I mean. So Mark Cuban's Cost Plus drug company is teaming up with a group called Emsana RX, which is a benefit manager or essentially a group that helps facilitate insurance for employees. They, too, say that they are committed to disrupting the pharmaceutical profiteering going on in this industry along the supply chain. Mark Cuban's company, Cost Plus Drugs, is committed to charging customers the cost of making the drug plus a standard 15% fixed rate profit. They currently do not accept insurance, but now by teaming up with Emsana RX, they are able to service about 156 million Americans through their insurance. Now, Mark Cuban has been super critical of PBMs or pharmaceutical benefit managers because they tend to set ridiculous prices for the pharmaceutical companies and get paid fees in the process. But Emsana RX, which is a PBM, they claim to really want to do things differently. Like Mark, they see the price gouging as wrong and are looking to shake things up for the patient's benefit as well. So the two are basically teaming up. I already have one friend who shared with me unprompted that she would not have been able to afford a very important medication were it not for Mark Cuban's program. And the price difference breakdown that I saw put out by Yahoo Finance was absolutely staggering. There were instances where Mark Cuban's cost plus price was, let's say, $57 and the retail price was $1,069. Or Mark's price for one drug was $9.30 versus the retail price of $69. Guys, this is insane. Or a third example was where a drug cost $33 per tablet with Mark's cost plus, and it retailed for $437. I'm sorry, what? Who wouldn't take Mark's version? It's the same thing. And this is only the beginning. It will be absolutely fascinating to watch where Mark Cuban takes things. But as of now, this concept does seem pretty genius and potentially revolutionary. So next up, we of course have to discuss FTX. So yesterday we reported that FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried was arrested in the Bahamas. And the Bahamas did indeed agree to extradite him back to the United States as per a treaty and as was expected. And now the documents have actually been unsealed when it comes to his criminal charges. And let's just say Sam Bankman-Fried has essentially been accused of lying since day one. If you're confused and saying, WTF, what are we talking about here? Do not worry. That's what we're here for. Basically, FTX was a cryptocurrency exchange that flopped when crypto flopped. And Sam Bankman-Fried was the founder and is now the disgraced former CEO. It seems like he did a ton of sketchy shit, like funneling funds to another company that he started previously and that his girlfriend was running, which, although was undisclosed, was all fine and dandy while crypto was flourishing. But once it started its free fall and people wanted to pull their cash out, FTX didn't have that cash to be pulled because, again, it had been funneled over to the other company, Alameda. Or at least that's how things seem as of now. It's likely that a lot will be revealed throughout these court proceedings, and there may be things that we don't even know about yet. Sam actually did a series of interviews recently against the advice of his lawyers, trying to explain himself. And TBH, he comes across as a scared individual and like he was in way over his head. But that was just my perception. Congressional hearings were held on the subject. Sam has been charged with 8 counts, and a lot of it circles around him redirecting investor funds for personal use, as well as trying to save his previous company. But he also made huge political contributions as well, like tens of millions of dollars, mostly to Democrats, but millions went to Republicans as well. So there's a lot that the court system is going to be looking into here, and we'll keep you guys posted along the way. And next up for today, we are discussing nuclear fusion, ? So for decades, scientists have been trying to produce energy from nuclear fusion. And in Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory in California, they have accomplished a huge feat. They achieved an actual energy output that was more than what it took to start the reaction. Now, it wasn't much more, but this is a huge milestone in understanding how we might one day be able to replicate the sun's power in a lab and wean ourselves off of dirty fuels once and for all. This success has been applauded by the White House, the Department of Energy, and environmental groups alike. It's a huge step forward. But fusion energy is still a long ways off. The experts who made this breakthrough themselves say that we're still looking at this energy source being 4 to 5 decades away. But December 5th, 2022 will go down in the books as the day that we tipped the scale. Maybe there's hope for human survival yet. And lastly for today, I had to let you guys know that President Biden signed the same-sex marriage bill. Yesterday, President Biden signed the same-sex marriage bill into law, surrounded by the lawmakers who made it possible, and in the audience sat activists who have dedicated their lives to the cause, shooting survivors, and celebrity LGBTQ plus activists such as Cyndi Lauper. He symbolically did this signing on the anniversary of when he first publicly expressed his support for same-sex marriage 10 years ago, back in 2012. The bill also protects interracial marriages as well. Every Democrat in Congress supported the bill, but it also got a ton of Republican support as well, which Biden made sure to point out and applaud in his remarks. It's a huge day and a huge win for our country. And that is the news du jour. Today, I wanted to leave you guys with the quote, "Fear kills more dreams than failure ever will." If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on whatever podcast platform you use to listen. A rate and review or shout out on social media would mean the world to us and help us be able to keep creating the news du jour. But the best way to support all of our work is to become a patron at www.patreon.com/sugarfree media. You can also follow us on social media under sugarfreemedia.co on Instagram and just sugarfree media, all one word, on TikTok. We appreciate you listening and look forward to telling you about the news again next time on News du Jour.
Broadcasting from Oklahoma.